Before life ever crashes into you with a storm, it always sends a whisper first. Not everyone hears it. In fact, most people don't. We're so busy, so wrapped in noise, scrolling, planning, worrying, that we miss the quiet warnings. But the universe doesn't send emails or announcements. It drops hints, small coincidences, strange gut feelings, that sense you can't explain, like something is about to shift, but you don't know what. Think about it. Before every major turning point in your life, falling in love, losing a job, moving cities, wasn't there a moment of unease? That restless energy, like the ground beneath your feet wasn't as solid as it once was? Most people panic at that feeling. They think it means something is wrong, but what if that unease is not danger at all? What if it's the first whisper of transformation? Because here's the truth. A seed feels like it's dying right before it breaks open. And in that moment of breaking, it has no idea it's about to become a tree. And that's where the first sign always lives, in the discomfort, in the silence before everything changes. But why do we mistake this whisper for chaos? Why do we fear it instead of following it? Have you noticed how just before something big happens, life feels off? You can't put your finger on it. Things that once felt stable suddenly feel shaky. A job that once made sense starts to feel empty. A relationship feels strangely distant. A city you've lived in for years starts to feel like it no longer fits. Most people interpret this disorientation as failure. They panic. They think, I must be doing something wrong. Why does everything suddenly feel unstable? But what if the instability is the first clue that something greater is unfolding? Think about the caterpillar. Before it becomes a butterfly, it literally dissolves inside the cocoon. From the outside, it looks like destruction. From the inside, it feels like chaos. But that chaos is exactly what creates the wings. That's what disorientation really is. The body and mind sensing that the familiar is ending and something new is trying to be born. But here's the problem. We modern people are addicted to certainty. We hate not knowing. We want a map, a guarantee, a step-by-step plan that promises we'll be safe. But the universe never works that way. It refuses to hand you a blueprint. Instead, it tosses you into mystery. And that mystery is where transformation happens. If you resist, you suffer. If you cling to your maps, the signs feel like betrayal. But if you surrender, if you trust the chaos, you begin to see something else. You begin to see that what looks like falling apart is often just the old world breaking, so the new one can be built. And sometimes the universe doesn't just whisper through feelings. It sends something or someone to guide you when you least expect it. The truth is, the universe never hands you a step-by-step manual. It doesn't tell you, here's where you'll be in 5 years, here's how you'll get there. No, life tosses you into the fog. It throws you into uncertainty, and for most of us, that's terrifying. We crave certainty. We want to know exactly who we'll marry, which job is secure, which choice guarantees success. But here's the paradox. Certainty may feel safe, but it kills growth. Because when everything is guaranteed, nothing is discovered. The universe doesn't want you to march like a soldier on a straight line. It wants you to move like a dancer, fluid, responsive, open to the rhythm that's unfolding in real time. Marching demands control. Dancing requires trust. And when you stop trying to control every outcome, something shifts. You notice that life has a rhythm of its own. You notice doors opening that you didn't plan for. You notice coincidences that lead you exactly where you need to be. But here's the catch. Mystery never looks comfortable. At first, it feels like you're lost. And that's when the universe often sends you the strangest kind of help. Not a map, not a guarantee, but a subtle sign, disguised in the most unexpected form. Like a bird leading a man out of the forest. There's an old story of a man walking through the forest. He thought he knew the way, but soon every tree began to look the same. The deeper he went, the more lost he felt. Panic set in. His heart raced. His mind screamed, I'll never get out. And then he noticed a small bird. It landed on a branch just ahead. When the man stepped forward, the bird flew to another tree a little further down. Almost without thinking, the man followed. Step by step, flutter by flutter, the bird kept leading him. And eventually, the trees began to thin, the light grew brighter, and he stumbled back onto the road he had been searching for all along. Now, here's the question. Was this just coincidence, or was it something more? To the rational mind, it's easy to dismiss a random bird, nothing more. But in the man's heart, he knew it was a sign, a reminder that sometimes the universe guides you in ways too subtle for the ego to recognize. Because signs rarely shout. They don't come with neon arrows or loud announcements. They're quiet. They're like shy creatures in the woods. If you stomp around with arrogance, making noise and demanding certainty, they disappear. But if you move softly, if you pay attention, you begin to notice them everywhere. Think about it. A stranger says something that answers a question you've been wrestling with. A delayed train keeps you from being in the wrong place at the wrong time. A dream lingers in your mind with a message you didn't want to face. These are not accidents. These are whispers. They're life's way of saying, slow down, notice, you're being guided. But what if the signs don't only appear in the world around you? What if they're also speaking through your own body every single day? Have you ever thought of someone and then, out of nowhere, they call you the same day, or had a dream so vivid that the very next morning, life seems to act it out in front of you? Those moments feel strange, almost too precise to ignore. That's what Carl Jung called synchronicity, two events colliding in a way that pierces you with meaning. To the logical mind, it's just chance, randomness, nothing more. But deep down, you feel it. These coincidences aren't meaningless. They're like cracks in the curtain, giving you glimpses of the hidden pattern behind life. The universe doesn't speak English or French. It speaks in patterns, in echoes, in resonance, and synchronicities are its language. But the signs don't just appear out there in the world around you. They appear in here, inside your own body. Think about the sudden heaviness that makes you too tired to keep pushing a plan that isn't right, or the strange burst of energy that pushes you to finally call someone, only to discover that they had been waiting for you. Even illness can carry a message. Your body is not separate from the universe. It is the universe in human form. Yet most people ignore it. They drown exhaustion in coffee. They silence intuition with distractions. They medicate every ache instead of asking, what is this trying to tell me? But the body has always been a messenger, a restless mind, a tightening chest, an unexplained weariness. These are not random glitches. They're signals, warnings, invitations to shift. And here's the thing. If you ignore the whisper, life will raise its voice. If you ignore the nudge, it will send a shove. Sometimes the universe even has to break us open, not to punish us, but to get us to notice what we've been running from. But here's a twist. What if the endings we fear the most, the closed doors, the breakups, the failures, are not curses at all, but some of the clearest signs of all? We love open doors, opportunities, yeses, invitations. They feel like validation. But what about the closed doors, the ones that slam shut in your face just when you thought you were finally getting somewhere? Most of us curse those moments. We call them bad luck, betrayal, failure. But here's the hidden truth. The universe speaks just as clearly through endings as it does through beginnings. The job you didn't get, the relationship that collapsed, the plan that crumbled, these aren't punishments, they're directions. They're life's way of saying, not here, not this. Keep moving. Think of it like driving. If you see a sign that says, bridge out, you don't scream at the sign for being unfair. You don't rip it out of the ground and speed ahead. You adjust. You turn. You find another way. But in life, when doors close, people resist. They cling. They rage against what is gone, instead of realizing it was never meant to be theirs. The wise see it differently. They bow before both gain and loss, understanding that every no carries its own wisdom. Sometimes losing what you thought you wanted is the only way to find what you actually need. Sometimes the door that closes isn't rejection at all. It's protection. Because here's the pattern. Closed doors don't end your path. They redirect it. And the quicker you stop fighting them, the quicker you notice the other door waiting just out of view. But if we want to notice these things in time, not months or years later, we need something deeper. We need to learn the art of trust and to sharpen the one sense that never lies. Intuition. Trust. It sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest things you'll ever practice because trust means loosening your grip on certainty, and most of us are addicted to control. We want to know exactly where the road leads before we take a single step. But here's the paradox. The universe only reveals the road as you walk it, not before. That's why trust is less about belief and more about courage, the courage to move without guarantees. And what makes this possible? Intuition. Intuition is the quiet voice beneath the noise, the soft tug in your chest, the goosebumps that rise for no logical reason. It's subtle, almost fragile. And that's why it's so easy to miss. Fear shouts, desire roars, ambition drowns everything out. Intuition only whispers. Yet history is filled with people who trusted it, sailors who crossed oceans with no maps, artists who painted visions they couldn't explain, lovers who followed a feeling into the arms of the very person they were meant to find. Intuition is not superstition, it's alignment. It's the part of you that already knows, even when the mind hasn't caught up. But most people never hear it. They're too busy doubting, too busy forcing. So the universe has to keep sending louder signs, hoping you'll pause long enough to notice. Here's the irony. The signs were never rare. They were always there. It's just that your attention was elsewhere. And once you finally stop, once you finally listen, you realize something astonishing. The universe has never been silent at all. The universe is never silent. It's speaking constantly, in every coincidence, every ending, every strange alignment that stirs something inside you. What feels like silence is not absence, it's deafness. It's our distraction. When you finally slow down enough to listen, you realize something profound. Everything is communication. The shape of the clouds, the stranger's smile that arrives at the perfect moment, the train that's delayed, saving you from being in the wrong place at the wrong time. None of it is random. All of it is part of the same rhythm. But here's the part that frightens many people. To admit the universe is speaking means you are not separate from it. You are part of the conversation. Your choices, your thoughts, your very breath ripple through the whole. You're not just reading the signs, you are one. That's why ancient traditions paid attention to omens, dreams, patterns in nature. They weren't fools, they were attentive. They knew life isn't a machine. It's alive, intelligent, and responsive. And when you treat it like a dialogue, everything changes. The harshness softens, the confusion clears. Life starts to feel less like a battle and more like a dance. And what are the signs really? Not commands, not guarantees, just invitations. Invitations to shift, to move, to step in rhythm. They don't tell you the whole story. They don't promise you comfort. They simply whisper, this way. So the next time you feel lost, instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this showing me? That one shift changes everything, because the universe has been speaking all along, not in thunder, not in fire, but in whispers. Whispers that, once heard, can change the course of your life forever.